Nicole's boxed up a bunch of stuff right now. She's like, she just wants to hold on to it. Whatever
I did that with Jack. Yeah, I did that with Jack.
No problems.
And that's her biggest fear. She's like, what if we have a boy? Then we're gonna have even more stuff. And then what if we want to have more than two?
Until I knew Jackson
You
was.
went down in there first, didn't you?
I think so, because they seem to
Yeah.
run low.
You gotta present it, don't you?
When
So
they were
that's part of the,
socially distanced.
yeah.
And if we were socially distanced.
It's like, at some point, she's like, we might have to bite the bullet and buy a sword and get a sword. And I was like, I don't want to. Eventually, yeah, there will be.
And when you proclaim
At least one more. Yeah.
like how exactly?
Whether there'll be more than one more, I don't know.
Had this for 6 years, bro.
TBD.
TBD.
I don't. Nope. I can't.
I mean, my parents did 4, but I mean, I don't know how they did it.
I feel like in the 80s that was okay. Though. Like, we were in
85. It seems trending down. Yeah, trending down. Because it's like my mom was one of 6, and my dad was
mom was
just
one
one
of
of 2.
5.
Yeah, it's definitely getting smaller.
Go, Tom. You ready?
Closed.
You ready, Tom? It's gonna be a long meeting tonight.
School stuff.
Yeah, pre-K, daycare, yeah.
People both have to work.
No, it's gonna be a long meeting.
It's true. It's all the facts.
It's,
You tell me if anybody ever hassles Holly, I swear to God. I'll send Al down there myself.
no date
I'll go pick him up. I'm gonna pick Al.
here, and then I'll come down.
We need to go handle a
Alright,
situation on Lafayette.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the hockey rink, Parks and Recreation.
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
Just a reminder, everybody, that Mike Rosh.
Thank you, Mayor.
Black.
black, black.
Oh, she already started, right?
Trouble.
It looks like the clock just stopped.
That's close enough. What day is it? Okay. Let's call this Tuesday, June 15, 2021, meeting of the Oldsmar City Council to order. The next 2 items on the agenda are the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Please rise.
Our Heavenly Father, we come to you this hour asking for your blessing and help as we are gathered together. We pray for guidance in the matters before us this evening and ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct the business at hand. Give us the strength and knowledge to excel in our work. This we pray. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. You could tell that Tom is so on it that I didn't even introduce him. And we went right to it.
Ready.
Right to it. All right, next item on the agenda is the Citizens Open Forum. Is there anybody on this side of the room who would like to speak? Anybody on this side of the room who would like to speak? Okay, What I'd ask you to do is when you come up, please give your name and address, and also you have 5 minutes to speak. You can speak on any item other than public hearings, which are items 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Otherwise, you can wait till we get to those. Still speaking. And the floor is yours.
My name is Tyson Munson. I live at 510 Pinewood Drive in Oldsmar. Been a resident for about 18 years. My wife is also a school teacher at Oldsmar Elementary. I've lived in the woods of Forest Lakes, and we're going to go for a little history walk. And it's the drainage problem that's in our subdivision that I get shin deep to knee deep water. And apparently there's been a permit that's been approved that the city has supposedly done their homework. And I'm sorry to say, the decision that's been made that has passed on this permit to backfill a pond in a retention, in a wetland flooding area. So the permit was approved. I guess they got DEP approval. Well, we're looking back at things back. If you look at our roads in there, they're from 85, okay? Developer went bankrupt. Whatever happened, 95, 96, Rotland comes in. They start developing in 97. I have photo proof from Google Maps that shows that this pond was put in, but nobody's saying, oh, that's supposed to be a plot. It's supposed to be a plot. Well, some of the cowboy stuff that happened in the city of Oldsmar back in the day, and that term has been used to me by fellow staff in this building. Well, it's some of the recognition that this cowboy stuff needs to be looked at, because since day one, from an article in 2005, where permits were stopped, everything was put on halt because Rotland dug in the wetlands, a alternative to the defunct system that's in there. And it is clearly named in an article that I have forwarded to the city manager, city engineer, as of today, that talks about DEP investigating the area for dysfunctional drainage. You've just approved a permit at the end of a cul-de-sac to backfill a drain. Your city drainage guys are telling me, oh, this is how it works, and your calculations are wrong. And you know why it says so? Because it floods in my intersection. It's been a known problem with the city, but now new staff, new things, don't understand the past, and here we are as residents back to 2005 to come before you to wait and look and see and look deeper into this, because this is going to have impact, not only on the wildlife that's there, which I'm surprised at, that's a whole nother situation. But I think the city needs to reevaluate and do a little more homework back to when the way the drains don't work. And that's the number one issue, is that, well, this is the way the plan is. First of all, the plan doesn't work. So before you put something else into play that's gonna impact a kink that's already in the hose, now you've put more kink, because you're right now flooding my weir with water in the rainy season. You're filling it up. So now when we get rain, I can't wait for it to rain, because Mother Nature is gonna prove me right to show you, because the only time you can see it is when it's raining. I have video of my house I can gladly share with you with knee-deep, shin-deep water at the intersection of Pinewood and Lakewood. That's all. I asked that the staff review this. The permit and everything is underway right now, and they are pumping water. They're flooding our streets right now, which the city is allowing them to disperse water on streets that we already have lime rock underneath that is washing away, because our water table comes up. And I can show you fish gills from the roads that were put in about 5 or 6 years ago. The wear and tear on them are 10 times faster because of the flooding. I can show you a stop sign mark that is no longer there, and it shows an S because it shows you the type of flooding that goes on. I welcome any of you to come walk in my neighborhood. I'll take you for a walk. I'll show you the drainage. The drainage guys are going to tell you different, but I'm going to tell you different based on water flow and true calculations. And that's all I've got to say. I hope you review this, because right now you're flooding my neighborhood.
Thank you. Anybody else on this side of the room? I've got him.
Hi, how you doing? Charlie Lane. Been a resident of Oldsmar for 20 years. Nice place, really like it.
Could you state your address for the record, please?
It's 505 Cedar Woods Drive.
Thank you.
I just have a couple of questions. I mean, my first question is, how did this get approved, this permit, without any notification to the neighborhood or the homeowners association that this was going to be done? I mean, I think in fairness to residents of this city, and again, a great city, had no input or no warning that this was coming. Can you explain it to me? How does the system work that we have no input? I mean, we've lived here, most of us in a neighborhood been here for quite some years, 10 years, 20 years, yet we had no chance to address this or even be involved in the decision-making process. How does that happen?
Well, and just so you know, the way typically the Citizens Open Forum works, it's not necessarily an ongoing dialogue. It's your opportunity to come speak to the council. But let me address it because I know it's an important issue. And so in the situation that you're referring to when you're asking why did the citizens in the neighborhood not have an opportunity, it's because it was permittable. The property that was there was not supposed to have a pond on it, okay? And, so when the permit was requested, there would be no reason for it not to be issued because the homeowner, property owner, has rights of things they're allowed to do to their property.
Well, wait a minute. You just heard from Tyson, that pond's been there for years. And we have known drainage problems. I mean, in my yard, I can get 8 to 10 inches of water in one section of my yard, and it's going to flow from where I live. It flows out both directions to the street.
I'm not disputing what you're saying as that you have a drainage issue. What I'm trying to answer your question. There was not supposed to be a pond there, as I understand it from staff. And
that doesn't sound right at all because the pond was there when I moved in 20 years ago.
In the original as is, there was no pond on it.
Oh, wait, let me just surmise. I mean, what bothers me is we're citizens of your community. We live in an area that is borderline. I mean, it's borderline when we have torrential rains.
I know.
Yet this thing was approved without any consideration for that neighborhood and the people that live there. And I believe we vote for you guys. Is that true?
Of course.
You want to think about that because as a citizen, I'm a little ticked off right now because I found out about this a week ago. And how does it happen? And we have no chance, no opportunity to come in here and discuss it with you guys like intelligent individuals to hear our side of this story. And that just didn't happen. And that bothers me. And I'll close with that. I just want you to know that I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's reasonable. And I have a lot of questions about how this really went down. And you will see more from us.
Yeah,
we're not just going away.
But let me just say this. There's nobody up on this council that doesn't want to try to resolve the issue, okay? The question is, what can we legally do? And so I heard about this issue this week. Today's Tuesday, maybe Friday or Monday. And so, that's where we're at with it right now. So, and I'm gonna also say this. We know we're elected, we're part-timers that are elected who care about this community. What I care about is not so much an election, I care about trying to help solve a problem. So that's really going to be the focus for us.
Well, I thank you for that. That's what we're looking for. Somebody to step up and take another look at this thing and make sure that we're not impacted somewhere down the road and it's too late.
No, I don't disagree with you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time and thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you for coming out.
Hello, it's John Andrew Cambanis, Woods of Forest Lake Subdivision, 524 Cypress Bend. So I'm coming here as another member of the community. I'm also the president of the Association for the Woods of Forest Lakes, and as you know, I'm also a volunteer on one of the city committees, and I've been on multiple committees over the years, and I love this city, and I appreciate everything that you do as a volunteer for our subdivision. I also am recognizing how much time is spent as you all do volunteering, and so I've been involved in this community for about 5 years, and I've seen a lot. I've also been involved with the city for about 4 to 5 years, and I've seen a lot. and I appreciate a lot. What I also am concerned about is a lot of times information gets lost over the years. And so people who are really good at what they do and know how to work the system can sometimes leverage their know-how and keep trying and trying again. So the owner of this lot is an expert at doing what he does, which is he's a civil engineer. He knows how to talk the talk with civil engineers, and he knows how to work the system. Tyson had spoken to Swift Mud. They had told him, oh yeah, we know about R. Kelly. He's known for doing this sort of stuff. He knows how to work the system and find the loopholes and get things done. We did hire an attorney to try and represent our community, because just like all of you, I know that you're acting to safeguard this community, this city. You know, you're saying that he has rights based on his ownership, et cetera. We were able to find out that he bought the property as two properties adjacent to each other. So the $63,000, which I know is always a concern, if you buy a property and you spend that kind of money, you should be expected to develop that property or do something with that property. The $63,000 was for two properties. One was listed as land that was taxed as land. The other one was listed as a lake and taxed as a lake. He did develop the first lot. He did make a handsome profit. Don't quote me on it, but so over 50%. The second lot, he's been persistent about trying to get permits to develop, and this has happened over time. Now, Tyson knows a lot more. He's been in the community a lot longer than I have, as well as some of the other neighbors that we've talked to. One of the challenges is that we have is that a lot of times, and I know this from 25 years working on development projects, is we have the site plan, we have the design, and then things change. And the ability to keep those changes documented and available for on record is really challenging. And sometimes things just happen. And they happen via emails, they happen via conversations, they happen via, you know, any means possible to get a job done. These guys are there to make money, they're not there to document everything. And so a lot of times things get lost in the process, and we count on the memory of those who've been involved to try and piece together the puzzle. And this is very difficult, and we've recognized that the city is combing through reports and history, trying to find the past. We know what we know, we've got video, we're doing our own due diligence on our part, and we're trying to be cost effective with all of it, and it is a real challenge. I do want to recognize the city workers that I've been in contact with for their efforts. I know that they're trying to do the digging, and we keep asking for them to dig a little further. We first saw activity on this pond under my involvement on the board was in September, and I notified the city right away. At the time, Michelle was the planning responsible for planning, and so she shared some of the emails that indicated that the city had a certain list of requirements, including HOA approval. At that time, I had told her HOA approval was not going to be possible because our declaration does not allow anything that impacts ponds, et cetera. She said that, in conversation, and I know this was in, just her and our relationship being involved, she said, this is going to be really hard for him to get these approvals. It's going to be really hard. And so we were kind of banking on that. When he tried to reach us the first time, we said, we're standing our position.
I'm gonna have to ask you to wrap up because of your time.
We're gonna stand our position. This has happened many, many times. These requests have happened many, many times, and we've always said no because this is impacting our community. So my purpose here is just to inform the city that there are gaps in the paper trail. I know that you're relying on a paper trail. I think we need to leverage the sounding board of the voices here. He's draining the entire pond. I was under the impression that he was only going to drain his portion of the pond. This pond is owned by multiple properties. He's already impacting neighbors directly. So Thank you, and appreciate it.
Absolutely. Do we have anybody else on this side of the room? You could state your name and address for the record. You have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Jason Hall. I've been a member of the Woods community for 6 years. I live at 500 Cedar Woods Drive. I'm here really as both a community member and the vice president of our association. As stated earlier, we just want the best for our community, both not only just for the benefit of us homeowners, but also for the benefit of the environment within the community. And from the information that I've heard this evening, as well as prior to, a big concern here is the environmental impact that this will cause, with some of the information that Tyson earlier mentioned, with the fact that if this pond is indeed filled in to a certain portion for this property in the rainy season, we need to know, well, where's that excess water going to flow to? And when there's even more problems than there already are currently, who's going to be responsible for that? Is that going to be a responsibility from the homeowners, the association, or the city? We're hoping that the decision could be made not to allow this and to revoke the permit possibly. But if this goes through, there will be a significant impact environmentally, and someone's going to be, responsible for it. So I look forward to your decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I have time left, do I render it a minute or two? Because I think the city's being get your information, if you don't mind.
No, you can't, actually, because there's other people you've already spoke.
Okay.
It's just the way the rules are. If there's somebody else who...
I'll just take a minute. My name's Jeff Slowgrove. I'm also from the woods at Forest Lakes. I'm at 577 Lakewood Drive. I'm the treasurer of the homeowners board, and I've been in treasurer for 3 years. I've dug through all of the finances, all the historical finances. I've looked at maps of the community. I never saw any of this coming. The guys never paid dues. Every map that I've looked at, and I've gone all the way back to day one, does not show that as a lot. It shows it as a pond all the way through. So I've spent 3 years of my life as a volunteer just trying to organize this, make sure that the books are all done right, get a review put in, all of these things, and I'm just totally shocked at this. And I'm not an engineer, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out if there's a retention pond and you fill it in, we're gonna have some plumbing, we're gonna have some flooding problems. Anyway, that's my take, and I'm the treasurer and I'm supporting my buddies here, so.
I got you.
All right, thank you.
Good enough. Is there anybody else on this side of the room? We already went on this side of the room. I did see you came in late. If you wish to speak, I would be happy to indulge you.
We're also residents of.
You have to go up to the podium and give your name and address.
My name is Sue Sellers, and my address is 506 Cedar Woods. We're just here to support the community because we've always had a problem with flooding, and if you do drain this pond, it's going to be very bad. I'm not an engineer, I don't know that for sure, but I have witnessed it over the years, and draining a pond, it's already, it could be bad. So that's it.
Thank you. Yes.
Good evening. Tom Stunziano, 584 Lakewood Drive. Again, I'm a part of the HOA board. I'm the secretary. Me and my family, we moved in 2008. We live next to the largest body of water, and we get quite a bit of flooding already. So from what I'm understanding is all the bodies of water are connected. So as one starts to fill up, it pours into another, into another, into another. I just have a question, and you don't have to answer now, but has there been any studies done on the impact of filling in this pond and how it affects some of the other locations.
Go back to 95, if you click up in the top left. I'm not an engineer, but I am in construction. And these things, these are how we kind of find some of the history that gets lost. Google Maps, Google Earth Pro or Google Earth. Take it to 95, look at 97. You will clearly see in that visual that they are digging that pond. And in 95, when Forest Lakes was a regular road, those two pipes that I thought were connected go off into a marsh. That pond is not there. That pond was never supposed to be there because if a developer's developing, he wants every lot he can get, right?
Right.
So why wasn't, and look, the old plans, but that pond, if you go to Google Earth, it speaks for itself. From 95 to 97, and you can see where the development's being developed and that pond is being developed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'm going to go ahead and close the citizens open forum at this time. What I will say, and I think it's the pleasure of the council, to the concerned citizens who've taken the time to come out here tonight, that we will look at this again, look deeper into it. You know, it's still a relatively new issue that came up. Just so everybody knows, typically when a permit is issued, it doesn't go to the city council. I mean, if it meets A, B, C, and D, it gets issued in the permitting department. You know, if everything went to the council, it would take you forever to get a permit, you know, just so everyone understands that. You know, I don't want to, you know, leave anybody with the impression that we approve permits up here. That's not the case. It's variances that come to us and that kind of stuff. All right. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Since we've closed the citizens open forum, the next item on the agenda is the community minute, which will be announced by our city clerk, Ann Dixon.
Holiday closures. City offices, facilities, and library will be closed on Monday, July 5th, in observance of Independence Day. Normal business will resume on Tuesday, July 6th. Oldsmar Hurricane Expo, Tuesday, July 13, 5 to 8 p.m., Tico Hall at the library. City and regional stakeholders will be on site to assist local residents and businesses prepare for the 2021 hurricane season, featuring special guest and Oldsmar resident Mike Boylan with Mike's weather page. And the summer library program, I need to practice my own reading. The summer library programs. The Oldsmar Public Library's summer reading program is entitled Tales and Tales. Now through August 7th for kids and teens, stop by and pick up a reading log to turn in weekly for fun prizes. And they're hosting weekly scavenger hunts and craft kits. Get your heads over heels over Tales and Tales. Learn more at oldsmarlibrary.org.
Very good. Very good. All right, next item on the agenda is the approval of addition of new agenda items. We have the new item 18, new item 21. Does anyone wish to discuss anything?
No, sir.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
Moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Gannon, second by Knapp. Any discussion? Sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda, awards and recognition, presentation of Employee Service Award, which will be presented by our city manager, Mr. Al Braithwaite. You can give him a round of applause.
Thank you. All right, we have one service award tonight. This guy's vaguely familiar. I guess he better be for 20 years. It's our service award is our fire chief, Jason Schwabe. Jason, you want to come up? It's a special handshake. Are you bringing the family? Amy, you bringing the family or what?
Yeah.
Callie, come on. Caden, let's go.
All right. All right.
Oh, there it is. Jason's wife, Amy, daughter, Callie, and son, Caden. All right. Congratulations, Jay. Here's your shield plaque. Congratulations, Jay. Here's your check. Okay. Jason, as we're saying, we're celebrating his 20-year service award. He was hired in June of '01, and this is for you two. I want you to be listening to this because I'm going to tell you some things about why Dad's a hero. So this part, not so much. We know
Here's a picture.
Wes, run it. Look at this. That's a good one. This is Daddy. This is Daddy before you guys existed. This is awesome. Most of you know we run people's photos from when they were first here, and this was absolutely one of my favorites. Wow. 21? How old are you? All right, so you guys weren't here yet, but that's what Daddy looked like, okay? All right, anyway. So we hired Jason as a firefighter paramedic. He was promoted to lieutenant paramedic in 2012. Seems like most of the things in your personnel file were about C shift. All C shift, yeah. And I think that's unusual, isn't it? Yeah, Jason loves C shift. Who knows? Maybe because B shift did the dishes and he wanted to stay on C shift. I don't know, but it was something I noticed. Jay, as you know, was promoted to our fire chief in July of 2019. And this one I'm not sure I got right, but I think you're the third chief we've had since we went from volunteer to professional. Wasn't Scott the first one? So there's your third fire chief in the history of the paid Oldsmar Fire Department. I think that's worthy of some applause, actually. So part of what Jay did before he came to us was he also worked at Sunstar, which many firefighters do. The favorite thing I saw out of his past was he one time performed golf course maintenance at Innisbrook on the Islands course.
What?
You could have got me a deal. What's up with that? And then, of course, he also worked construction at Krisdick Construction. At the high school in Newport Richie, then the Fire Academy, then St. Pete College for his associates and his bachelor's, then the Executive Fire Academy. Catch the theme here? Never stop trying to better himself. Side issue, we had knee surgery in 03, 04. You okay now? Yeah. Okay, good. He won the Perfect Attendance Award in 08, 09, which I think might have been the first time anybody did in the fire department, I think. I was really hesitant to say that because I got 2 command staff here, and if everybody else was here, I probably wouldn't have said that. But thank you, because that set the tone. He was also a volunteer at the Magnolia Valley Fire Department. Anybody know where that is? Yeah. 29 or 30, which station, or both? 29 or 30, which station? They didn't say anything other than numbers. It was just Pasco County is the answer. Okay. I found 12 commendations in his file, one from Tracy Donegan for saving her life.
Wow.
Yeah, saving her life. A few reflections of why I chose Jay as the fire chief. We had a process, and I wanted you all to know that we took it very seriously. Renee was in it. Renee's the assistant chief. Dave's been command staff for a good long time. But things I saw in Jason's history and the way he carries himself that really worked for me. I have great respect for the work he did as the VP for the union, ironically, since the union tends to be on the other side of the table from where we are. But sometimes adversarial, but super difficult work to do. And he represented his people with great distinction, always calm, well-prepared, and got very little credit for the work he did. Even though I was on the other side of the table, that was never lost on me. He also consistently, listen to this, you two, pursued his education and never stopped. In fact, he still hasn't stopped. He's committed towards improving himself in the department every single day, something I deeply believe in and try and inspire as our mantra citywide. He now teaches at the fire academy that he attended as a student. He's not the only one that does that, but I think that's another thing that's very, very worthy of credit for him. Now, from his file, and this is for you too, these are all things that Daddy's supervisors have said about him, and you two need to be thinking like that. Now's the time, especially you. All right, these are things, no pressure. These are things that Jason's supervisors have said about him. Kind of simple, but they add up to exactly the kind of person we want to have in this situation. Work quality is good, neat, and accurate. Self-motivated. Requires little to no supervision. Very thorough. On time, arrives ready to work. Very dependable. Acts and thinks independently. Handles himself well during incidents and emergencies. contributes improvement suggestions without hesitation, can be relied on in all situations, and has been recognized for mentoring others. Those are things that you guys really would be well suited to be known for. And thank God I got through that tough part before these guys showed up. A couple of fun facts. When applying for the lieutenant job, Jay submitted a resume, which I'm sure was written by Amy. Now, that's okay, because I say my wife also has total editorial review on every personal document that I write. And let's just call it the intro paragraph I wanted to share. So picture the resume and the objective, if you will, where you describe a little bit about, in this case, your husband. And the word will jump out at you. A dedicated, motivated, and well-respected employee with almost 15 years of fire and emergency medical services experience and training. That refers to his application to become lieutenant. Here's the good one. An ingenious problem solver, longtime member of Safety Harbor and SOP committees, labor representative for 8 years, which actually turned out to be significantly more than that. This was the time he was applying to become lieutenant, and an early career acting officer that exhibits the leadership quality and skills to become the next company officer, which he did become. You must sell yourself, but this also points out how dedicated and determined he has always been, and thanks for writing that name. We really appreciate it. Accomplishment, I went further through his file, and just to kind of give you guys an idea of the kind of things he's known for and has always been about, which I think, again, is perhaps a little under-recognized. In 1 year, on one of his evaluations as a lieutenant, in 1 year, these are a list of his accomplishments. Completed his bachelor's degree in public safety administration, revised the department's standard operating procedures and chaired the SOP committee, completed training requirements for shift personnel to obtain acting officer and apparatus operator credentials, assisted with new hire interviews and orientation for new employees, served as a peer evaluator for the SPC Company Officer Assessment Center, served as acting chief in the chief's absence, completed live fire training instructor certification, completed water extraction team, or WET, certification, completed the FEMA Division Group Supervisor Training, completed NFPA 1 and 101 coursework, drafted and implemented the new SOPs, assisted with new employee training, assisted with new paramedic certification training. He was accepted into the National Fire Academy Executive Fire Officer Program. All that in 1 year. He doesn't just put out fires and protect property. So back to you two. That's what Dad does, in addition to saving lives and putting out fires. He has more than earned the right to call the Oldsmar Fire Department his department, and we all look forward to what he will do in the next 20 years. Congratulations, Jay, and thank you for all you've done for the citizens of Oldsmar. Thanks. Would you like me to hold your plaque?
No, I can do both. No, just, I'm proud to have worked here the past 20 years, been able to work with a lot of great people within the department and, throughout the organization. So appreciate the recognition and look forward to what the future holds. Maybe not another 20 years, but I'll be around for a little while.
You could probably sit there and hide mine now.
That's true.
Well, congratulations, sir. We are certainly excited and feel very blessed to have you here in our community. And we felt that way long before you became chief. I think I speak for everyone when I say that, but you do a terrific job, the whole team does, and what's wrong with another 20 years, man? You look young still. I didn't see a huge change in that picture. You had the same amount as hair. Same hair, All right, very good, nice job, Al. Thanks. All right, Before we go on to the community redevelopment, well, we'll go to the community redevelopment agency since we have nothing in it tonight. But I am going to ask if the council would indulge where we move, entertain a motion to suspend the rules of the day to move item 14 and 18 up, which are two items affecting the Chamber of Commerce.
Motion to suspend the rules of the day?
A
Second.
motion from Kate Gannon to suspend the rules. I have a second from Saraki. Discussion. Sension, you ready? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right, so at this time, we're going to move up to item number 14 on the agenda, which is under the city managers. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 14 is discuss the transfer of Celebrate Oldsmar event operations from the Leisure Services Department to the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce. Celebrate Oldsmar is a long-standing annual festival that has transformed through the years. In 1995, it began as a one-day event and eventually grew into a two-day regional music, food, and beverage festival with fireworks over the Labor Day weekend. In 2019, it returned to a one-day event during the first week in October. Recently, staff had discussions with representatives from the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce, who are here tonight, regarding the event. Conversation included the possibility of the Chamber assuming the event's responsibilities and operations. The Chamber has solid experience in producing large-scale events, such as the successful Oldsmar Days and Nights Festival that recently took place in April, and their annual Oktoberfest event, which take place in the fall. Transitioning the operations of Celebrate Oldsmar would help the city staff to continue to concentrate its efforts on family events in lieu of this type of large-scale event festival. It's important to note that over the past 3 years, the Leisure Services Department has increased the number of family events requiring more staff time and resources. These family events differ from the larger Celebrate Oldsmar type events as they are shorter in duration, family-focused, and typically attract younger families instead of the more typical adult crowds that attend larger-scale music festivals. That's meant to set the table for the discussion. The only financial difference of what we've been considering that we asked the council to consider is that the chamber in exchange for this would take over the entire operation, which would remove essentially theoretically the risk from anything the city. We know that that's not an absolute, and we would remove all of our expenses, but we are asking the council to consider agreeing to fund the fireworks, which is something that we make part of the event every year. So that would be somewhere between 15 and, I think we've got 15 budgeted this year, and I think next year we're assuming it might be 16. So let's say somewhere between $15,000 and $17,000. But that would be the essence of the effect of the turnover.
Okay, all right, discussion. All right, Nat?
I think it's a great idea based on the history of what they've done with the other two big time events that they put on over the years. I foresee it being, the third piece of something that they do and can grow and blossom based on how great Celebrate Oldsmar has been over the years as done by the city. So,
excellent. Gannon?
Just quickly, a couple of comments, specifically as to city staff. It was pointed out to me by our assistant city manager, and it makes complete sense that, Celebrate Oldsmar, even when it was down to a one-day event, still requires months of planning and effort by our staff. And this could allow the chamber, which has plenty of experience in putting on larger scale events like this, multi-day events like this, they can take that over, and then those months of planning, booking talent, or organizing logistics, or food trucks, or whatever it happened to be, can instead be devoted to city-specific events that might be more beneficial and more number for our residents. Financially, it's generally a wash. We never really made money on it. It's not meant to make money. It's for the enjoyment of our citizens. But financially, it's pretty much a wash. We lose 10 grand, we lose 15 grand if we spend it on the fireworks instead. I'm interested to see what the chamber does with 3 days. Sounds kind of more like Oldsmar Days, which wouldn't be objectionable as it was a large success even this year coming out of COVID. So
very good. All right.
Favor.
If there's not any further comments, then the chair will entertain a motion to approve the transfer of this to the Chamber of Commerce, and that the city would continue to fund the fireworks on an annual basis in the budget range of $15,000 to $17,000. Is that adequate, Mr. City
Yes, sir.
Manager? City Attorney?
Yes.
All right, so the chair will entertain a motion.
So moved, Mayor.
Moves Gannon.
Second.
Seconds Knapp. Discussion.
Love it. I like it.
Senton, you're ready to vote. All in favor, signify by saying celebrate Oldsmar.
Celebrate Oldsmar.
All opposed, motion passes. All right, item 18.
Item 18 is the request for the council to approve the special event application fee waiver request for the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce's second Friday events to be held on July 9th, August 13th, September 10th, October 8th, November 12th, and December 10th of this year, 2021. The Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce proposes a new series of street festivals, which we're going to be known as Oldsmar's Second Friday, beginning this July. These festivals will be an opportunity to promote Oldsmar businesses and consist of various local vendors along a portion of State Street between Park Boulevard and Washington Avenue. In addition, these proposed festivals will include car shows and food and drink vendors. In accordance with the City of Oldsmar's special event guide, the above organization is requesting that the city waive the fees normally associated with these 6 events in the amount of $9,150. Utility fees of $240 and all other external costs and taxes will be the event organizer's responsibility as outlined within the application. A copy of the application is attached for the council's review and staff recommends approval.
All right, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion by Saraki, seconded
Gannon?
by Gannon. Discussion.
I'm excited about it.
So, that's my note. I'm very excited.
I'm excited about it too. It reminds me of when we did the Fifth
Freedom
Fridays for the Centennial. I think this is a great idea. I love it. Thank you.
And I mentioned as well that I'd like to start seeing people come up to State Street, get used to coming up here and doing events. I think Jason and I had that conversation a few months back. Get them used to coming up here. We start getting some stuff moving downtown. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah. All right. Senton, you ready to vote? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to return to the rules of the day. I have a motion by Knapp. Do I have a second?
By
I have a second by Gannon. Discussion? Senton, you're ready to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is a consent docket, which will be presented by our city clerk, Ann Nixon.
Item number 2, approve minutes of the June 1st, 2021 council meeting. And item number 3, approve payment to legal counsel for May 2021 legal services.
Does anybody wish to pull anything from the consent docket?
No, sir.
All right, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion by
Or the other?
Graber.
Sure.
We'll put Graber in there. All right, seconded by Gannon. Discussion. It's faster. Senton, you ready to vote? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Next item on the agenda is City of Oldsmar, presentation of proclamation of National Parks and Recreation Month, also known as Leisure Services. Councilmember Saraki is
Thank you,
making that
Mayor.
presentation.
And this is right from the office of the mayor across the street. And this proclamation, I'm very excited about. It's Parks and Recreation, and as you guys know, I love that. Whereas parks and recreation programs are an internal part of communities throughout this country, including the city of Oldsmar. And whereas parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services for those who are mentally or physically disabled, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas parks and recreation programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas parks and recreation areas are fundamental to the environmental as well as our community, and whereas parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of the air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers to development and produce habitat for wildlife, and whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors, and whereas the city of Oldsmar recognizes the benefits derived from the parks and recreation resources. Now, therefore, I, Councilmember Dan Saraki, for Eric Seidel, for Eric Seidel, Mayor of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, do hereby proclaim July 2021 as Parks and Recreation Month in the City of Oldsmar and encourage all members of the community to experience the wonderful programs, events, and natural resources the city has to offer, dated this June 15th of June 2021. Chip, you want to come on up here and I'll present this to you? And I just want to thank you for the great job you do with the hockey rink. I was out there last night. I love playing hockey out there. They call me the old guy, but I thank you for what you do.
At least you're out there. Slide out of the way here. Very good. I'll tell you what, our leisure services in this city plays such a huge role in the quality of life that proclamation doesn't do it, the department justice, that's for sure. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda, City Attorney, item number 5.
Yes, this is a public hearing and second reading of ordinance 2021-13. I'll read that by title only. Ordinance 2021-13, an ordinance to the City of Oldsmar, Florida, amending Chapter 26, Environment of the Code of Ordinances to replace the term Parks and Recreation with Leisure Services. Correct a typographical error in Section 26-37. Add prohibition for burning waste. Change title of Section 26-107 for clarity. Add restrictions and guidelines for permitted open burning. Provide that the city manager or designee shall issue a written permit for open burning. Provide that city manager or designee shall oversee both street trees and park trees. Add medians to the list of duties and responsibilities. Provide that the city manager provide permission for planting of trees and update the list of trees to be planted. Change 10 feet to 15 feet for distance of street trees to be planted from any hydrant. Provide city with the right to request removal of trees within specified limits. Provide the city manager to determine necessity of tree topping based on unusual circumstances. Change the word streetlight to streetlight. In Section 26-12, amend the list of trees that are exceptions, add provision for recognizing enforcement authority and providing for an effective date of this ordinance. That was the second and final reading of ordinance 2021-13 by title only.
Thank you. City Manager, any remarks? Staff presentation?
No, sir.
All right. No applicants, so at this time I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Gannon?
I have a motion, Gannon. I have a second.
Second.
Knapp? Discussion? Okay. Sensing you're ready to vote, roll call, please.
Councilmember Graber?
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Knapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Gannon?
Yes.
Mayor Seto?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-13 is adopted with 5 votes for and 0 against.
So item number 6.
This is a public hearing for the second reading of ordinance 2021-14. I'll read that by title only. Ordinance 2021-14, an ordinance to the City of Oldsmar, Florida, deleting in its entirety Chapter 34, Law Enforcement of the Code of Ordinances, and providing for an effective date of this ordinance. That was the second final reading of ordinance 2021-14 by title only.
City Manager?
No, sir.
And staff or applicant
Yes, sir.
presentations? Are there any for the rest of tonight's public hearing items?
No, sir.
Very good. At this time, the chair will open public comments. Open the public hearing. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on this matter? Seeing that there are none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion to approve from Graber. Do I have a second from someone?
Katie.
Katie Gannon.
Second
From
by
Gannon. Discussion. Sensing you're ready to vote, roll call, please.
Councilmember Gannon?
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Knapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Gannon?
Yes.
Mayor Seto?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-14 is adopted with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you. Item 7.
It's a public hearing for the second reading of ordinance 2021-15. I'll read that by title only. Ordinance 2021-15, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, amending Section 38-3 of Chapter 38, Offenses and Miscellaneous Provisions of the Code of Ordinances to provide for defending life and property and providing for an effective date of this ordinance. That was the second final reading of ordinance 2021-15 by title only.
Okay, since there are no presentations from, there's no remarks from the manager or from staff, at this time the chair will open the public hearing Is there anybody from the public who wishes to speak on this item? Seeing that there's none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion by Knapp. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Gannon. Discussion? Sensing you're ready to vote, roll call, please.
Councilmember Graber?
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Knapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Gannon?
Yes.
Mayor Sedell?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-15 is adopted with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you. Item number 8.
This is a public hearing for second reading of ordinance 2021-16, which I'll read by title only. Ordinance 2021-16, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, amending Section 39.4 of Chapter 39, Child Safety Zone of the Code of Ordinances to eliminate duplicity, retitles Section 39-5 to provide clarity, and providing for an effective date of this ordinance. That was the second final reading of ordinance 2021-16 by title only.
Thank you. Since there's no city manager remarks or staff presentation at this time, the chair will open the floor for public comments. Is there anybody from the public who wishes to speak on this matter? Seeing that there is none, I will close the public hearing. This time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
So moved, Saraki. Do I have a second?
Second by Gannon.
Second by Gannon. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Graber?
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Knapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Gannon?
Yes.
Mayor Sedell?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-16 is adopted with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you. Item number 9.
Item number 9 is a public hearing and first reading of ordinance 2021-17. I'll read that by title only. It's a long title. Ordinance 2021-17, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, amending Chapter 58, Streets, Sidewalks, and Other Public Places of the Code of Ordinances to replace the term easement with right-of-way, replace the term user of the easement with permittee, and replace the term rights-of-ways with rights-of-way throughout Chapter 58. Change excavation in streets permissibility from council to city manager or designee. Add authority of city manager or designee to require anything necessary to ensure safety and protection of public facilities. Add parking motorized vehicles to improper use of sidewalks. Limit payments made in lieu of sidewalk construction costs held in city trust fund to be used only for citywide sidewalk construction. Remove the term jackasses from section 58-5. Increase fine for failure to pick up animal fecal matter. Clarify language in section 58-37(7) to address impact of traffic and weather. Add children to definition of person. Change definition of public utility company to exclude municipal public utilities owned or operated by the city. Provide authority to city manager or designee for designation of placement and use of public right-of-way utilization by utilities. Provide that any hardship due to buried cable for telephone lines be shown to city manager or designee for possible exceptions. Change the title of section 58-40 to use where green space in right-of-way is insufficient. Remove section 58-41 in its entirety. Replace the word utility with permittee in section 58-84(a). Set the fee for working without a right-of-way permit. Require a temporary traffic control plan and applications for rights-of-way utilization. Provide authority to city manager for appeal process in denying utilization authorization. Add requirement to call for locates in emergencies. Add possible requirement for more permanent traffic control plan if work in the right-of-way exceeds 10 working days, and provide that the city manager or designee have the authority regarding notice requirements for construction in rights-of-way. Add pavement restoration direction. Clarify roles, update equipment reference, and provide for work outside of regular business hours with regard to construction specifications. Provide that the city manager designee shall determine impracticability and unreasonableness of retrospective undergrounding. Correct a typographical error in section 58-114. Correct grammar and reference to subparagraphs in section 58-127B. And providing for an effective date. That was the first reading of ordinance 2021-17 by title only. I would bring to your attention that there was no consensus on the items listed in sections 58-39, 58-86, and 58-92. Those provisions have been added to this ordinance, so if you want to, you will need to delete them from the adoption of this ordinance if you don't want to move forward with them. the breakout in the language shown in the ordinance is what has been incorporated, or I'm sorry, the memo has been incorporated in the ordinance. You'll note that the red language was deleted language, the blue language was added, and the purple text was specifically requested as a recommendation by the city manager.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. City manager remarks or any questions for the city manager? This is the first time this has been read. So I do have a question specific to 58-39, 58-86, 58-92, the items that Tom just referenced. And that is, because we had this discussion in our meetings, and that is the moving of the essentially appeal-type decision-making from the city council to the city manager or designee. In your knowledge, have we actually ever had that occur where somebody has come to the council and requested an appeal of where these easements were placed?
No, sir.
All right. Okay.
That's the same question.
Yeah. Right. And so, all right. Any other questions?
Yep, Mayor.
Gannon?
Thank you, Mayor. My question is kind of a question for our city attorney and our city manager. I was wondering if some of these changes were sort of swept into the overall direction given to the city attorney at our workshop to change all references from, department head to to city manager or designee. And so there's that question. And then separately, I was curious as to why an appeal of a easement placement of a utility, why that would ever come as an appeal before council as opposed to through the city manager then and an appeal toward the circuit court. So I guess I have two questions. If you have any information or could elaborate on any of those.
So as for the language change from council to manager, I believe that was directly as a result of the ordinance review committee making those suggestions. As for the appeal process, I'm not aware either in my 25 years here of that ever happening. But I think that the idea is that there is an appeal process, and trying to get you out of having a quasi-judicial hearing, having to hear testimony and evidence on an issue related to the rights of way, which would normally be handled by city staff or the city manager.
Right.
So we're basically trying to take that work out of your normal agenda, which would, frankly, it'd be like any other quasi-judicial hearing where witnesses would come and testimony be presented and so forth. So, I think it's appropriate. It gives it 2 levels of appeal. City manager would be the first one, and then ultimately circuit court, just like it would be if there was a denial of a variance of the Board of Adjustment. It would go to the circuit court, that type of thing. So, but it's whatever you would like us to include is what we'll do.
That answers my question. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? The comment that I have towards this is I don't know that we as a practice should be diverting responsibilities that our charter and ordinance has in it for the council. If you think about it, I think it's appropriate that the initial decision be made as it's been by the city manager or designee. I don't think it was the city manager, and that's the adjustment that was made. But if you change it to they're going to appeal to the person who made the decision to begin with, that doesn't really make sense, right? So the natural, as in other cases in the city, we don't force them to leave and go to court. They have the ability to come to the council. The reason I asked that question about whether or not it's happened before, because I know that part of the concern beyond the additional work that is required to do that is whether or not then it becomes a situation where, the council is put in an awkward position, and maybe that's to be avoided, but it shouldn't be avoided. It's property rights. I mean, those are important rights. And so I question as to why we would change that responsibility when it comes to people's property rights. I think that should rest with the elected officials. So, in any event, all right, so where we're at on this, if there's not any other questions or no staff presentation, Gannon?
I was just gonna, I understand your point.
Are there any questions for the staff?
No.
We'll come back to discussion, if you wish.
I thought you had just had your discussion.
Well, no, I was kind of following up to the same point, frankly, all right? So we're still in a public hearing, so at this time, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this matter? Sensing there's not, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, and at this time, the chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Gannon, I have a second from Knapp. Discussion. Gannon.
Thank you, Mayor. I do understand so I guess in lawyer speak, I call it like a slippery slope argument where you kind of remove a power of the council to hear an appeal. So what kind of precedent does that set for, future issues when there is a council decision to be made? The difference for me for this particular set of ordinances is that they are changes to easements to right-of-ways. So for this particular set, we're not dealing with a person who has come and they want to do something on their personal residential property and there's been a denial and they can come and seek recourse from their elected officials. For me, this is different because these are city-owned easements. So it doesn't necessarily make sense for us to weigh in, for the council to weigh in on an issue that has to deal with property that belongs to the city. So I personally am in favor of changing the language as it has been designated herein and included in the ordinance as it was read.
Okay, any other discussion? Graber?
Yes, thank you. To that end, are we dealing with property rights of individuals? And I think that's Councilmember Gannon's point. This is utilities wanting to put their lines in certain places within the rights of way. Is that correct? And so that's where I don't.
It would be on people's personal properties.
Right. So, but it was the property rights that I think was the discussion before. So, my concern was, and it was appealing to the person who denied it initially. I didn't like that, and so as it was originally written, it was the Public Works Director got it first, and then it went to the city manager, but then ultimately went to council. But then, if we're reading through the ordinances and I don't see another appeal process, as Tom alluded to, if it's the Board of Adjustment and they deny a variance request, they appeal to the circuit court. So I don't know why it was included specifically in this ordinance. I don't know the history of it, but that was my concern because we don't hear other appeals in different ordinances. So I wasn't sure if it was necessary. Taking the power away from the council that's never had to exercise the power seems kind of circular reasoning. I don't understand that portion of it either. But my point always was, we don't do this for anybody else. Is that, to use Katie's term, a slippery slope? Everybody else who gets denied doesn't get the same appeal process in front of the council. They have to go to the circuit court, but in this instance, you can come to us. So it didn't seem to be static across the board for me.
Okay, any other discussion? The only other comment that I would have before we vote is there is a difference though. For example, if it's in the CRA and they wish to go do something, they can't come, they come to it for a variance to us.
Okay.
And so it's not the separation where you have the Board of Adjustments. And so there are precedents where it does come to us.
Okay.
The truth is, when nobody can remember that this has ever happened, I don't know that it's gonna matter at the end of the day. But to my point is just, I would caution us as a council in general of changing responsibilities that have been our responsibilities for a long time.
Absolutely.
So, in any event, all right. So, and that was the reason I had an objection to it from the very beginning. It's just, it's a big change when you make that move, and it appeals to the person who said no. So you could do it all at once. No, you can't do it. No, you can't do it. So you'd be okay that way, right now? All right. Since you're ready to vote, roll call, please.
Councilmember Graber?
Yes.
Councilmember Starkey?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Knapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Gannon?
Yes.
Mayor Seidel?
No.
First reading of ordinance 2021-17 passes with 4 votes for and 1 against. Mayor Seidel dissenting.
Thank you. Item number 10.
Yes, this is a public hearing for the first reading of ordinance 2021-18. I'll read that by title only. Ordinance 2021-18, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, amending Chapter 46 Peddlers and Solicitors of the Code of Ordinances to change the hours of operations for peddlers and providing for an effective date of this ordinance. That was the first reading of ordinance 2021-18 by title only.
All right, so because there's no city manager remarks or staff presentation or an applicant, at this time I will open up the public hearing. Is there anybody from the public who wishes to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion by Garaber, seconded by Siraki. Discussion? Sensing you're ready to vote, roll call, please.
Councilmember Graber?
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hill?
Yes.
Councilmember Gannon?
Yes.
Mayor Seidel?
Yes.
First reading of ordinance 2021-18 passes with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you. Item number 11.
This is a public hearing for first reading of ordinance 2021-19. I'll read that by title only. Ordinance 2021-19, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, amending Chapter 54, Solid Waste of the Code of Ordinances to delete the definitions for dry garbage and moist garbage and add the definition for semi-public. Provide the city manager a designee with authority to approve specialized solid waste services. Provide that requests for alternative sized carts at an additional cost be directed to Administrative Services Utility Billing. Update the name from Solid Waste Division to Public Works Department. Remove language stating that persons should not play in or around carts or containers. Delete provision for solid waste removal in alleys. Provide for owner notification prior to condemnation of personal, non-city-owned cans. Correct billing reference from Public Works Department, Solid Waste Division to Administrative Services Utility Billing. Delete additional fee language when requests for additional recycling carts are made. Replace the word organizer with special permit applicant as it relates to event recycling. Provide that special arrangement requests for the impaired or disabled be made to the Administrative Services Department and approved by the city manager or designee. Provide that a tenant may be billed for garbage and trash service upon written request of the property owner, and providing for an effective date of this ordinance. That was the first reading of ordinance 2021-19 by title only.
Thank you. Since there is no staff, no manager remarks or staff presentation or applicant, at this time, the chair will open the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this matter? Seeing that there are none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing at this time. The chair will entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion from Knapp.
Second?
I have a second from Gannon. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Graber?
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hill?
Yes.
Councilmember Gannon?
Yes.
Mayor Seidel?
Yes.
First reading of ordinance 2021-19 passes with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you. Item number 12.
This is a public hearing for the first reading of ordinance 2021-20. I'll read that by title only. Ordinance 2021-20, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, amending Chapter 62 taxation of the Code of Ordinances to correct date by which to apply for local business tax receipt from August 1 to July 1 of each year. Delete references to certain sections of Florida Constitution and Florida statutes for homestead exemption criteria. Delete reference to specific threshold for homestead exemption criteria. Update annual adjustment of income from January 1, 2020 to reflect current income limitation as per Florida statutes, and providing for an effective date of this ordinance. That was the first reading of ordinance 2021-20 by title only.
Thank you. Since there's no city manager remarks or staff presentation or applicant, the chair will open the public hearing at this time. Are there any remarks that the public would like to speak to on this item? Seeing that there are none, there's none, I'll go ahead and close it. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved?
I have a motion by Gannon,
Second.
second by Knapp. Discussion? You're laughing about something? Something you want to add in there?
No, no need to jump into my head right now. We're all set.
All right. Good point. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Graber?
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Knapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Gannon?
Yes.
Mayor Seidel?
Yes.
First reading of ordinance 2021-20 was passed with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. You don't have anything else?
No, sir.
No other private hearings or nothing, public, nothing? All right. Moving on, next item on the agenda is city manager, item number 13.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 13 is to adopt resolution 2021-13, revising the budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. Attached, we have the resolution 2021-13, which is our revision of the annual budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. The General Fund, Public Safety Impact Fund, and Water Sewer Operating Fund require adjustment at this time. I'd like to read the resolution by title only. Resolution 2021-13, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, revising the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2020, and ending September 30th, 2021, authorizing the city manager and the Director of Administrative Services to revise the existing budget. Mayor, that concludes the reading of Resolution 2021-13.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to approve. So moves Saraki.
Second.
Second Gannon. Discussion. Not a lot of adjustments, actually. All right, Stetson, you're ready to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. We did item 14 early. Item 15 is next.
Item 15 is a purchasing item. Request council approval to waive bid requirements and award the contract for the Marlborough Street Pine Avenue drainage pipe rehabilitation to Vortex Services LLC under the same terms and conditions as HGAC contract TP 07-18 for an amount not to exceed $68,620. Stormwater runoff from the intersection of Pine Avenue and Mount Vernon Street flows downstream to a ditch along the east side of Pine Avenue, then into a large elliptical reinforced concrete pipe. This pipe conveys water under the driveway at 111 Pine Ave and across the width of Marlborough Street to discharge to a ditch on the southern side of Marlborough Street. In 2020, a depression was reported in the grassy area north of Marlborough Street that required a temporary repair to the surface area by city staff. Public Works staff cleaned and videotaped the stormwater pipe to determine if the condition of the pipe contributed to the surface failure. It was determined that the pipe is in need of rehabilitation to avoid additional failures of the Pine Avenue right-of-way and was budgeted as a capital improvement project for fiscal year 2021. Cost for this project is not to exceed $68,620. The drainage improvements line item is available funds in the Stormwater Utility Fund, and staff recommends approval.
All right, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
So moves Gravers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second Gannon. Discussion? You're ready to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Item 16.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 16 is a request for council approval to waive bid requirements and award the contract for our annual neighborhood street resurfacing project to Gator Paving and Grading LLC under the same terms and conditions as the City of Clearwater contract 19-0045-EN on piggyback form 21-021 for an amount not to exceed $235,000. The city has a biennial maintenance plan to repave the city streets of Oldsmar. The goals of the program are to maintain streets in good operational condition and to repair or replace deteriorated pavement in a timely manner. This requires the city to evaluate all city streets and to mill and resurface or reconstruct roads when they fall below an adequate rating. The most recent pavement resurfacing priority list is attached for reference. The number of roads in the city with the highest priority are scheduled for reconstruction or repaving as part of the larger capital improvement projects. And the streets planned for resurfacing under this contract are Stevens Avenue, Dunbar Avenue south of Douglas, Shady Oaks Drive, Sawgrass Court, Lakeview Drive, and Longwood Court. The neighborhood street resurfacing project is funded in Fund 302 for an amount not to exceed $235,000, and the staff recommends approval.
All right, the chair will entertain a motion to approve. So moved. So moves Saraki. Do I have a second? Second Knapp. Discussion?
Need streets.
Need streets. Got to keep them going.
Good
Yeah, I love that
streets.
we do this as an ongoing project.
Yeah.
Ongoing.
All right, since you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Item 17, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 17 is a request for council approval to waive the bid requirements and award a contract for a water and wastewater system rate study to Raftelis Financial Consultants Incorporated under the same terms and conditions as the City of Daytona Beach contract number 19632 on piggyback form 20-026 for an amount not to exceed $57,510. In July 2016, a comprehensive water and wastewater rate study was completed, evaluating all water and sewer system rates along with miscellaneous fees. On October 14th, 2016, City Council adopted Ordinance 2016-08, setting the waste and sewer water utility rates for the next 4 years to become effective January 1st, 2017. Final step of the 4-year progressive rate adjustments were implemented in fiscal year 1920. On January 19, 2021, City Council adopted Resolution 2021-03, creating a future master water and sewer bond issuance guidelines. The resolution requires periodic rate reviews to ensure the water and sewer system rates are sufficient to meet the operating needs of the system, along with debt service requirements and funding for the water and sewer system capital projects. The funding for the rate study has been requested in the resolution 2121-13 presented to the council tonight in the Water and Sewer Operating Fund, and staff recommends approval.
All right, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
It's moved Gannon,
Second.
second Knapp. Discussion? The only comments that I have, I think it's important. I hope that they actually pick up and do a good job of assessing our capital improvement needs. As you all know, I have brought that issue up multiple times. I think it would be wise for us to try to get in front of that issue so we can plan way in advance, right? It's never popular, but it's pay me now, pay me later, right?
It's hard to understand.
More later. If you pay a little bit now, maybe we earn some interest on that money and it costs you less versus paying interest on it in any event. I'll get off my soapbox. All right, sensing we're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. We did 18 earlier, item 19.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 19 is a request for council approval to award 2021-005 invitation to bid for the R.E. Olds Park Pier Repair to Bayshore Construction, Inc. During Hurricane Eta, the pier at R.E. Olds Park sustained damage to some of the substructure and pier decking. During the course of evaluating damage to the pier, it was also discovered that some of the pier's support pilings were also in need of replacement. The city advertised the invitation to bid to solicit bids from qualified vendors to provide the necessary repairs to the pier. Bayshore Construction, Inc. submitted the lowest responsive bid. Funding for the pier repair project is available in the 2021 general fund budget and in an amount, whoops, excuse me, I lost the amount.
$35,238.
The winning bid was $35,238, and staff recommends approval.
All right. The chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion by Knapp, second.
Enthusiastic second.
Again.
It's off over by 20 grand. I'm just
Yeah, the
hoping-
only comment that I would have on that, let's just hope that we're like really stay on top of what's being performed out there, because there was such a difference in the bids that it always raises a little bit of concern. I know our staff will do that. And then the only other question I have is, how many days? 60. Just thought I'd ask that question.
Has anybody been asking you about?
Oh,
how long it
hey,
takes?
maybe one or
Has
two.
anybody been asking all of
Or
us?
at least 60.
How about coffee with the mayor? When is the pier gonna be open? When's the pier gonna be open? I think I'm gonna just start the coffee off with, by the way,
Peer update.
pier update. All right, sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying pier.
Here.
All opposed, motion passes.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 20 is the request for council to authorize the city manager to execute the United States Department of the Treasury Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund Award terms and conditions, as well as the assurances of compliance with civil rights requirements. As part of the American Rescue Plan Act, what we know as ARPA or ARPA, passed by Congress and signed into law by President Biden on March 11, 2021, significant financial resources are designated to assist state and local governments to respond to, recover from, and defray the economic impacts of COVID-19. Final allocations to many larger entities have been specifically identified by the Treasury. In Pinellas County, for example, is directly allocated a rather large sum of money, and these organizations will receive their funds directly from the U.S. Treasury. Smaller governments like ourselves are considered non-entitlement units of government, or NEUs, and they'll be receiving their payments from their respective states. The specific allocations for NEUs have not been identified yet, but staff estimates based on the methodologies provided in the ARPA and U.S. Treasury guidance suggest funding for the city will be very significant. Staff recommends approval.
Very good. The chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion from Gannon, second
Second.
by Knapp. Discussion?
Hope it comes to pass.
Hope that comes in. I mean, that'd be significant for us on certainly some of the capital improvement projects. So let's hope that it happens. All right. Sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Anything else, sir?
That's it. Thank you, sir.
All right, City Clerk.
Oh, nothing for me.
Great report. All right, City Council. Item 21, discuss the session planning. It's a new agenda item. As everyone will remember at our planning conference, our city manager, Mr. Al Braithwaite, announced his plans, his intent to retire next year at the end of September. And at that meeting, with the council's blessing, we had discussed that I would meet with our city attorney and come back to the council with some options for us to consider on how moving forward, and specifically, which would be considered the first step, knowing that we have a city manager leaving, which would be options to move forward with hiring what will ultimately be our next city manager, right? And so tonight, I'm going to present three options that we discussed, city attorney and I, and that we think or make sense for your consideration. The goal would be that, if possible, that depending on what that is, that we come out of here with a consensus, and ultimately, we would then vote to add that as an action item to our next agenda. All right, so the three options. One, we would hire a recruitment firm to solicit candidates for consideration. Councilmember Saraki and I have been through that process once before, and so we're familiar with it. I think probably that's pretty obvious. The second one was we would simply post and advertise the position for candidates to submit resumes through HR and establish a process to vet those, and ultimately they would come to us for consideration. And three, which I believe personally is the best option for the city, is that we would hire the next city manager by promoting someone from within the organization who already is part of our staff. And so those are the three options that we have. And I'm happy to open it for discussion.
Option three.
Option three? That's all you got?
I second it.
You second it?
Third.
Option three from seat three.
Three from three?
I have very strong opinions on this, and it is option 3. There should be a promotion from within.
Well, I think that we all recognize that we certainly have a talented individual who's been playing a role here as what I would say certainly being groomed and certainly has responded well, and that I think that this is going to be one of the easiest decisions that we ultimately make. So, ever. Probably ever. I mean, now it was a real easy decision after we all reviewed about a dozen videos. Sorry. Sure, Councilman Saraki.
You know, I want to just mention something. When we went through the process for Al, and we, you know, on Zoom, whatever it was, those videos, when Bruce Haddock brought on Felicia, and he hired her as an assistant city manager, I thought to myself, you know, what?
Nope.
It's unheard of.
Al.
Or no.
Al did.
Well, no, or Al, Al and,
Yeah.
yeah, Al did, yeah.
It was.
I'm sorry, Al. yeah.
Councilmember, would you mind if I tell the story?
At this time, I'm gonna recognize our city manager.
Okay, technically you are correct. However, Bruce Haddock was assigned me the job of hiring our next leisure services director because Lynn Reeves was retiring. So in that process, he asked me to give him a list of 6 names. And we went through the process. Cindy, June Donald, Garrett, and I were the committee, and we went through the interviews, and I submitted a list of 6 names to Bruce, and I said, Bruce, this is going to be the easiest decision you ever have to make. Specifically because we felt that Felicia was that strong that she should absolutely be the choice. He agreed. She became our leisure services director. And in the course of 1 year, as I was becoming the manager, we, in our meetings with Bruce, went, we have an assistant city manager coming up. I once said to Bruce, I said, would Felicia be a good choice for that? And he said, Felicia would be a great choice for that. So yes, technically Bruce was the hired at our recommendation. I promoted her to ACM, which was one of the few intelligent things I've done since I got the chair.
Right.
That's the story.
Right, and I'll never forget the first time I went to the Capitol Theater, when I talked to you, and you had said you were the one that designed it and was in charge of it and made that a beautiful venue, and that was my ticket. I support you 100%.
Well, we're not voting on it tonight. I recognize we would all, and listen, and Tom's certainly welcome to add some of the discussion we had and to be candid about some of the environment in the county and the region as it relates to city managers, and you're happy to share if you wish, if you think
Yeah,
it's
well,
about.
obviously, I think that Felicia would do a hell of a job for you as your new city manager. What I had mentioned to the mayor is that there are a number of city manager positions that are currently open in Pinellas County. I had, well, the mayor and I both came to the conclusion that we don't want to lose Felicia to one of those other cities. And so we probably should act, or you probably should act sooner than later. And so I think that we both came to that conclusion. I'll let the mayor speak for himself. But there are other options out there for our assistant city manager. There are career moves that she can make that don't include the city of Oldsmar. So I think that you need to keep that in mind. But I think that she would make an excellent city manager. And as for how you would move forward, Mayor, my suggestion is that you don't just make the commitment at the upcoming meeting that you want to hire her as your next city manager, if that's what you're going to do. You have her already. My suggestion is that you probably want to enter into negotiations for an employment agreement to lock her in at a start date sometime in the future. Whenever you come to that conclusion that you want her to begin after Al is actually retired. So that's my suggestion is to come to some agreement with Felicia and not just commit to it so it occurs sometime in the future. That way that she will know and you will know what the financial commitments would be and any other benefits that you would receive out of that.
Yeah, and so I'll just share, I wasn't going to until we got to the next meeting, but I think, everybody wants to know. It's important. In understanding the purpose of some acceleration in that process. There is a precedent that's been set in the past which I think gives a lot of comfort to not only our citizens, but staff and the council that, there's this overlap, not having two city managers, but rather a time in which I know that we had Bruce Haddock here for an extended period of time in a different role, but he was here really as a consultant to the city manager. And yes, that costs a little bit more to do, but it's insignificant to the value. Certainly, it's a very common practice in business. And so I think because of the nature of things, once we have voted to pursue an agreement, that it's a commitment to be our next city manager and instruct the city attorney to move forward with an agreement, there's a step that should take place, I believe, first in the process, and that is that there needs to be an agreement, an amendment to the agreement currently with our city manager. And that is because of some responsibilities need to come off of his agreement. He has to be agreeable to that. It doesn't change any of his entitlements in terms of compensation and benefits and that kind of stuff, but I'm pretty certain that his contract has certain authorities in it that would change prior to his actual departure. And so that probably has to get done where you don't have multitude, but that's something that we would leave to the city attorney to map out. I don't know that we need to get into that, but there will be some things that come back and, I'll put it out there now. It's kind of a somewhat concept, and that is that it's a 6-month window, maybe adjusted a little bit more so that when there is a new council that takes seat, that there's a change in the guard at the city manager in terms of who's actually acting as city manager at that point. And that creates a few things if you stop and think about it. One, which I think is really important, in theory, come March, we could have a new majority on this council who would have the ability to change plans. I don't believe that will occur, that there's a new majority, but I think certainly anything's possible. I think it should be this council that makes that decision. I think it's good for our city that this council makes this decision. And if that was all done in place and everything prior to that, and it couldn't be changed. I'm not saying that they would come in and say, gee, what a horrible decision we made, but there shouldn't be any ability. I heard a story, and I think it was Al who told me about the story, that there was a change in city manager. I don't know what city it was in. There was an election, and two of the two of the newly elected council members did not want that city manager. So now you got a city manager coming into a situation that was not the best, and so on and so forth. So in any event, that's the direction. And you know, while we're having this discussion, I mean, I think there's probably some consensus on that makes sense? Okay, well then, you know, then just, that's the understanding of the direction we're gonna move in, and make it nice and clean and easy. And so, with that, I will entertain a motion to add to the next agenda, select the next city manager. And that motion at that time would include, for the of course, the city attorney to move forward with negotiating into agreement. So at this time, the chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion from Knapp, second. Second from Gannon. Discussion.
Let's go.
Sensen, you're ready to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes.
I feel like that died.
Part of you just.
He's sitting here thinking already about Tennessee. No, never mind. It's like, man, I never did like this guy. Anyhow. All right, next item on the agenda, council comments. I'm going to start with Councilmember Gannon.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple things I wanted to chat about tonight. First off, I attended along with yourself and several others up here, the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce Awards Banquet, which was at East Lake Woodlands Country Club. A really exciting event. Quite funny, actually. It was a lot of fun and good to see everybody again. I wanted to congratulate all of the award recipients and the scholarship recipients from the different high schools in the area. It's always just unbelievable to hear about the accomplishments of these teenagers. I mean,
Very
the
impressive.
one gal was going to Yale, I think they said.
Harvard.
Unweighted GPA of 3.98, dozens of commitments to volunteering. It's astonishing. And congratulate all the award recipients for the different businesses, small, medium, large, and nonprofit. And the mayor, in fact, you knew it was going to come up, for receipt of the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber Cup for 2021. So many congratulations to you on that well-deserved award. The chamber did a good job putting that on.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
You didn't bring the cup?
I broke it. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
It's dirty. Never mind.
And I'll save my other congratulations and event notifications for another day, because I wanted to talk about something that's really important to me. You know, City Government Week is typically in the fall. We usually have a week that we designate and encourage our citizens to, you know, be more involved or learn about their city, raise some awareness about what we do. In fact, about a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago, COVID's got me kind of mixed in my ears. The Florida League of Cities actually put out a book for young kids. It was actually a picture book for young kids to help educate kids about their city. And I had the wonderful opportunity to be contacted by a young girl. Her name Savannah, and she was in 5th grade at the time. She's now a rising 6th grader, but my discussion with her was very special because she wanted to get to know me because I was an elected official. It was first unbelievably humbling, but it also brought me a little bit of awareness. When I was young, there were people in my life that I looked up to. I wasn't necessarily one of the coolest kids, which you all might imagine, but I knew I always wanted to run for office. And I know Councilmember Graber, he ran for office. His father was involved in city government as well, a council member. And so to kind of bring this home, I was searching ever since I had this lunch with Savannah to kind of close the loop a little bit and to find a way to bring that awareness, bring a little bit of education, and do a little bit more community outreach. We've been promoting ourselves as a family-friendly, family-oriented community. We're having tons of events. And so I want to explore a partnership with Oldsmar Elementary and Forest Lakes Elementary School to have perhaps fifth graders. So there's a sort of an understanding and an educational element to this, to maybe have a student from each school, or maybe several students, come and shadow the council members, myself maybe only if none others are interested, and maybe other members of our whole show up here, maybe even the audiovisual room, to come shadow us for a day during a meeting during City Government Week, just to see what it's like and to know that there's an adult that cares about them, that's interested in them. I would want the partnership to look something like this. I would want the school to decide if they're interested at all on how that looks, if it's an essay contest, if it's part of the curriculum, or if it's a teacher selection. They can pick, or maybe it could be by volunteerism. But I would love to have the schools kind of tell us if there's a way that we could bring some students here, because if they're going to Forest Lakes Elementary and Oldsmar Elementary School, their families live here. And it's a simple and easy way to get to know more families in our community, to give them an opportunity to see what we do, and to connect with their kid, to people who make decisions that affect their lives. It wouldn't require a whole lot of effort, but I wanted to get some consensus from council if there's any interest in participating. I know that there might be some who are not interested, or if they don't, the city manager or our clerks aren't interested, that's fine too. But since it is a question that requires staff attention, that was why I wanted to bring it up during council conference.
Sure, let me ask this question, because we either do or we did have a program similar to this. I just don't know that we have it anymore.
I was informed that there was a one-time event where all the department heads and the city manager had a shadow for a day, and then there was a sort of mock meeting at some point. But
Well, I know they've done the mock meeting in here before. That wasn't that long ago.
I kind of get the feeling that COVID might have just put a hiatus on it, but we have done it. To Councilmember Gannon's point, I think she's looking for more specific participation in the shadowing sense, maybe for a whole day or the meeting or both or whatever. I can't say we've done that, but we've definitely coordinated putting roles of what you guys do and staff on the kids, kind of a whole class at a time. In some cases, I think it was a whole grade at a time. So we've done something similar.
Because I know I've come in and spoke, and that kind of thing, And to your point, I think it's an excellent idea, right? I mean, the way the kids respond to it are really, it's great, and it matters to them. It matters. So consensus, if maybe a good approach to this would be, is that maybe we ask staff to take a look at some different ideas, and then come back to us. But I'm assuming that the council would be interested in participating?
Definitely.
Everyone but Graber? Okay. Okay, no, I just couldn't resist. I never know what he's thinking down there.
There's no point in trying to figure that out.
Still a plebe.
No, of
Still a
course
plebe.
I want children to
Brand
be
new.
involved in
Brand new.
government.
Still a plebe. All right, that's a great idea.
thank you, Mayor. I cede my time to the chair.
All right, let's go to Councilmember Graber.
I was going to be so fast, I was hoping to go last so I can make a joke about that and say, I know we want to get out of here, I'm just teasing. I guess we're calling you Gannon tonight. Thank you for bringing up my father and mentioning that. Of course, that is a very important piece of that. To that end, happy Father's Day to everyone. We're actually taking the kids to the beach, and I'll get to see my mom and my dad on Sunday, so I'm looking forward to that. But as I mentioned, I was going to be brief tonight, so go Bolts. That's all I had, Mayor.
There you go. Councilmember Sraki.
Oh, thank you. Couple things. I wanted, I never really gave an update on the PSTA, and first of all, Mayor, I want to thank you for putting me on that board. It's a learning process over the years, but I'm really starting to enjoy it and where we're headed with electric vehicles. So I wanted to share something with you. Beginning of June, the PSTA started the autonomous vehicle testing in Dunedin. I'm sure you guys saw it was going back and forth to the Blue Jays games. Well, it's called Ava. And the new vehicle was launched in Dunedin. It's a new, improved vehicle. I mean, it really moves fast. There's no driver. It allows 8 people to sit in it. It costs $30 a month to charge this. It's very simple to operate. And it goes down the street. It has a program. It's programmed. It stops at, every stop, the bus stop, whatever you want to call it. And then it moves on. Well, it's 10 times faster than a human can. I'm sorry. And reacts 10 times faster than a human can while never getting distracted from the roadway. And what I wanted to share with you guys is there is some funding for AVA program from the federal government to go to another municipality. So I've been talking with Brad Miller, the CFO, and we've been trying to strategize because I handle Tarpon Springs, Safety Harbor, and Oldsmar. And we need a location where the speed limit is under 35 miles an hour. So I recommended last week to him that maybe Tarpon Springs, down the waterway there where the boats are, all the restaurants. So we're going to be attending the Tarpon Springs Council meeting. I believe it's the 26th. And we're going to present that to council and see maybe if they would be interested in having Ava go to Tarpon Springs.
Great.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you. I'm pretty excited about that. And the next thing I wanted to mention is on Friday, I attended the FLC Utilities and Natural Resources and Public Works Policy Committee meeting. Now, I've been in municipal administrative for the last 5 years, which is short-term rentals and public records and stuff like that. So I decided, as I was already the chair, I decided to move to a different committee. And I wanted to share it's totally different environment, water quality. It's a totally new learning experience for me. And I just wanted to share that, guys. I'm still learning. It was a very impressive meeting. It's still a little bit new to me, but I just wanted to share. I joined that committee, and I really enjoy it.
Good.
And then other than that, I just want to say Happy Father's Day and go Bolts.
Go Bolts. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things. I'll try to keep it brief as well. I just want to piggyback on Councilmember Gannon about the UTB Chamber Awards dinner. Those kids really shocked me. I'd say it was very impressive. One, Mr. Pham, the amount of things he mentioned, the mayor and I were speaking to him, and when we walked away, I was like, that guy's going to be a politician one day.
Totally.
The way his delivery, I mean, he had already volunteered for Andrew Yang's campaign as a district chair or something like that. I mean, absolutely impressive. So well done by the chamber. I think everybody up here enjoyed it, those that were in attendance. It really felt like things were completely back to normal at that point. It was kind of almost one of those first ones that was like, this is it. Dan, it's interesting you mentioned about the AVA program. When I heard about the story of it coming to Dunedin, I actually have put out some feelers for investigating it for the private sector through work, because we now are operating in a campus, and so we're kind of faced with how to get people to and from different buildings. So it's very preliminary. Don't get our hopes up yet, but I'm doing some investigating.
That'd be right up y'all's alley.
Well, because it's people and product that we can move around.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
I'm investigating at this point.
We'll take it
No
for a
promises made. Then just a couple other things. Katie, I think that your idea about the kids getting involved is great. I mean, it almost sounds like that could be the seedling for a youth citizens academy or something, or part of it in the future. I mean, that there's a lot of promise there. I mean, things like Jack's Village getting involved. I mean, from 5 and up, or not age 5, but grade 5
right?
and
Those
up.
mentors that cared about you when you were small.
Absolutely.
I remember.
Yeah. That's exciting. I've got a teenage nephew that is running around doing stuff, and I can only imagine that even younger kids are looking for a little inspiration. Couple other things. I want to wish my sister-in-law, Amanda, a very happy birthday. Her birthday is today. And then I also want to wish my father, the Patrick Knapp, a very happy early birthday. And finally, go Bolts.
There you go.
Thank you, Mayor.
I've got a couple items. Just one, first I want to congratulate the VFW and the auxiliary. Their officers were installed a week ago. It was June 3rd, I believe it was, somewhere Thursday. They had a very nice turnout. It was a really nice ceremony that they did, and it was nice to be there. And all of them, and they have done an impressive job as a new organization to make such an impact in such a short period of time. And so I just wanted to acknowledge them. Also, and the Vice Mayor and I attended Empower Adventures 5th anniversary celebration, which is hard to believe. It's been 5 years.
Can't believe that.
And it was it was very simple. They did it really nice, but they had Operation Jack's Village out there. And so it was like the perfect group to invite out because, as you know, if you don't know, they're involved in dealing with suicide preventions for youth, and they're really more like they're about empowering the kids to do things. And I thought they did a really nice job, and congratulations on their 5 years. The Vice Mayor and I also, we seem to be hanging out a little bit lately. It's awkward. We also attended Bugs Martial Arts grand opening. Yeah. They're right around the corner from us over here and over by Zapata's in that area in there. Really nice people. Wish them a lot of success. They're a business who is one of these examples where they opened up and COVID hit. How tough that is starting a new business to begin with, and they've shouldered through it. So some good folks over there. Just a reminder, Project Pop Drop. I got operations and projects on my mind. Is going on right now. Please make a point of trying to get some supplies. I checked today how we're doing on collecting canned vegetables here at City Hall. We're not doing as good as we should be. I'm going to give props to Gannon on her self-made video. It was a huge hit. I thought you did a very nice job on that.
I may or may not have been tricked into putting my vegetable donation into the chamber.
Oh.
Because it's downstairs in this building.
We have keys to this building, don't we? We can fix that. They're all watching the game right now.
I was hoping that they might count it in our column in any event, but that was a lot of cans.
Yeah, it was great. All right, and so, but just a reminder, it's still going on. And this weekend is the tailgate on Saturday. It starts at 9, 10 o'clock?
10 to 3.
10 to 3.
Almost positive.
Well, I'm going to trust you on this. 10 to 3. And so come on out and stop in, and if you want to come help, what they'll be doing is handing people a list of what are the really needed items as they walk in to Walmart. That's where they have it at. And we've done this in the past. I think we've all been up there at some point. And it's really amazing how our citizens will go and pick out a couple things on that list and drop them off on the way out. So go out there and support them if you can. I do believe that the chamber did a terrific job in recognizing, citizens of the year, businesses of the year, and certainly the scholarships that they gave. They do a great job. And to the Vice Mayor's point, it did feel like we were back. Yeah. I know Councilmember Saraki was at the Florida League and couldn't be there. But I will tell you, I was proud of us all being there together. It was like when we were at the Suncoast League event, trying to be there together and be supportive. I don't know how they got the cup thing wrong, but, what the hell, I took it anyway, But I really believe that was recognition for the way that the city handled the pandemic. And, being mayor, you sometimes, you get picked out for that recognition. But I think that we all were very creative in the way we did things. We're not 100% out, but it kind of feels that way. So, but I certainly thank them for their effort. Happy Father's Day to everybody. One of my sons are coming into town, and my grandson will be here. So I'm excited about that, and have a great 4th of July, and go Bolts. And with that, let me say one other thing.
Oh, yeah.
One other thing. 4 years ago, the council made a really good decision when they hired the city manager we have here right now. And I think tonight, we took one step in making another really good decision that you're gonna look back on and feel really good. I feel really good about it. And so it's a double win, and he's been a big proponent of it, and that's no secret to any of us up here. And so, I think that, you know, there are some times when you make leadership decisions that have a much longer impact past your time when you're directly involved, and this is one of them. So, really proud of this council. All right, at this time, the chair, is there anybody who wishes, item number 23, tentative agenda, is there anyone who wishes to prove anything, pull anything from the tentative agenda? No, and then the chair will entertain a motion to approve the tentative agenda as presented. I have a motion by Knapp, a second by Saraki. Discussion, sensing you're ready to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion, a second.